Hello world, and welcome to Elevated Intuition. And I really should be saying hello to my other time travelers and shapeshifters and reality creators, because that is what this video is about today. That is what this reading is about today. This is about shifting timelines. This is about bringing in your best self. And the reason that we would want to do that is because we want to be our best selves. This is grabbing that energy from the multiverse, from the from other timelines, from timeline shifts. If timelines are shifting, if things are shifting, if we have other realities, if we have other versions of ourselves out there, great. And this is what that video is about, creating our best selves through those shifts. So sometimes we can see this happen. I feel like we create those shifts in ourselves. We are on like a trajectory, and we change that trajectory based on, you've heard the like fake it till you make it. Well, there is, even if it's just your future self out there that's making it, and you're here and you're like, how do I get from here to here? Sometimes you just step in that direction. Sometimes you just move in that direction. And that's what this reading is about today. Stepping in that direction, moving in that direction, bringing that reality either from the future, which is, I said, time travelers, or reality from that other timeline into this reality and timeline. So a lot of fun and interesting concepts. This has been something I've been called to do for a while, and let's get into the reading and let's get into the picks. So this is a pick a card reading, which means you get to pick the card, the number, the deck, the object that resonates with you. I'm putting objects right now. So for group number 1, this is Labradorite. So you use your intuition to pick it. And then in the timestamps down below, I have marked the timestamps, and you meet me there in the reading, and I use my intuition to read the cards for you. And for group number 2, this is moss agate, tree agate. I think it's moss agate. And for group number 3, the object is Sardonyx. So we are putting forth the information, or we're putting the intention out there that we are going to get the messages that we need to receive right now so that we can shift our timeline and create our new future. We're co-creators in the universe. We're creators in our reality. We're creators in the future. And that is what we are doing here today. So pause the video if you need to, and I will meet you at your reading. Hello, group 1. So the stone that we have here today for this group is Labradorite, and I'm just moving it around to catch the light so you can see that flash. I love this one in particular. It's got that yellow and that blue flash in there, so that's very special, because sometimes I don't know I'm not a Labradorite historian, but sometimes you only get one, like they either skew more blue or they skew more yellow. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about your timeline. Let's talk about shifting timelines. Let's talk about what you need to do that. Let's talk about your current self. And all right, shuffle the cards for our current self, the current situation, current self. Okay, we've got justice, and it comes out in reverse. Let's talk about an obstacle for you. An obstacle for group 1, Page of Pentacles, reversed. Let's talk about a release. And a release here, we get the Emperor. So what is coming up at the moment is justice reverse, so injustice. Nothing, like there's something that doesn't seem very balanced. It doesn't seem like the truth is coming out. It doesn't seem like Maybe people don't value the truth in the world that you're seeing around you. Maybe they don't value the truth in you, or maybe you are even blocking your true self. What is manifesting from that, or what is coming out of that, is we've got the Page of Pentacles reverse, and we've got the Emperor. So the Page of Pentacles reverse is where we're trying to start something, probably in our physical world, probably in regard to our money situation, moving forward. Maybe you're trying to start a new chapter in your work relationships, your work life, in what you want to do, career swapping. Maybe it is that you're not where you feel like you need to be guided to be. You don't feel like you're making quite the impact that you should be making. Maybe it's you're not, maybe paycheck to paycheck, you're not making it monetarily. It seems to be kind of slow to manifest. And then it's interesting that the Emperor comes out as something to release, because usually, and this might be what you're leaning into, is control over the situation, pushing action, trying to really make things work, and it's just maybe going against the flow even. Emperor is someone who is in control of his situation. He's in control of his world. He's the quintessential male figure. So when we're talking about in tarot masculinity and our masculine energies, this is action. This is putting order to chaos. But it doesn't feel like that is, it feels like it's not helping at the moment. It feels like we're not moving towards our goals. We're not getting the justice, we're not getting the recognition that you deserve. We're not getting the, you might feel like what you're doing has no purpose. And we're going to work to reframe that, rethink that, and figure that out. So what would be your ideal self? What would be your ideal self? You in an alternate universe, living your best life, that we're going to bring in and manifest here. And we've got the Four of Pentacles. So definitely a different energy from the Page of Pentacles reversed, that feels like they are almost, I'm getting running around with like a chicken with their head cut off, because they have no direction and they're just trying things and nothing seems to be working, and it's just running in circles rather than running with a purpose. And the bringing in financial stability, fours are a number of stability. Four is and then the Pentacles, where we've got the money situation, where we have our work situation, where we know where our wealth and finances are coming from, where we feel stable in that. The only kind of hang up with the Four of Pentacles would be that sometimes we hold on to that money too much, but there's nothing wrong with creating that safety net, creating that savings plan, especially when we feel like we're working paycheck to paycheck over here. So I'm just going to move our four to this edge. So that is the energy we're looking to bring in here. A message from this Four of Pentacles, a message from our best self, a message from the version of you that is making that happen. Queen of Pentacles, okay? And then a step towards that better you, a step towards that better situation. How can you step towards it? And we get to Two of Cups. So you're not supposed to be doing this alone. You're supposed to be doing this with at least a Two of Cups would be perfect, and we'd love it. in a relationship reading, but this is very much geared toward money, finances, career, your goals. So when we see Two of Cups, of course, if you have a partner, we want that partner on the same page and maybe working with your partner, maybe working with your family members, working with somebody who loves and cares about you. But people who love and care about you, that's not only designated for your love life. That is also designated for partners in crime, I'm hearing, partners in, you can have a partner in your business, you can have a friend that is really interested in what you're doing and helping you. You can have a mentor that things start leveling out. The other interesting thing here with this Two of Cups that comes towards you, the step towards this financial freedom, is the Justice. When we have it in reverse, we have chaos and we have imbalance. You know, the Justice has the scales here. Two of Cups is bringing things into balance, and it's bringing things into balance emotionally. It's starting off emotionally, so that might be why the Emperor is over here in a release, because the Emperor is very logical. They make logical decisions, and over here in bringing in your best self, your highest self, you need to, you know, and Justice, there's a level of emotionality in that as well. We need to start feeling good about ourselves. So I'm talking about finances, but I could also be talking about, you know, because it's Pentacles, we could be talking about your physical body as well. There is I think it was Deepak Chopra who I saw speaking about this, where they did a study with bunnies and with rabbits, and they were feeding them something that would give them high cholesterol, because they were going to study that high cholesterol. And they had several groups of rabbits, and one group of rabbits who was getting that stuff for high cholesterol, they didn't exhibit the same types of changes in their bodies that the other rabbits did. And it was really crazy. So they had to look into it. They're like, well, are they getting the same diet? What's going on? And what happened is the technician who was in charge of feeding these rabbits, when they would feed them the food that was high in cholesterol that would affect their bodies in a negative way, that person spent time with those bunnies. Of course, they're cute. They loved them. They pet them. They showed them love. They showed them affection. So even though those rabbits were getting the same diet as the other ones, they had a completely different reaction to it because we injected love into it. We saw things through, they saw it through rose-colored glasses. Our body is very intelligent, but it works off of emotions. It uses emotions to communicate with our mind. Sometimes we've got this like heart and brain disconnect, and I kind of feel like that's why the Emperor is here now that I'm getting the full picture, that right now that we need to release this heart and brain disconnect. Logically, you're putting in the steps, you're putting in the hours, you're doing the things. It's not working out. Why? Because you don't love what you're doing. It's not hitting you emotionally. And whether this is about your body, bodybuilding, losing weight, sculpting your body in the way that you want it, because Pentacles could talk about that. So for a fraction of you, that best self, you're bringing in that like, when you sit down and close your eyes, and two, like if that wasn't something, if you were really kind of geared towards money, we can use this energy and this momentum to bring in both. We can see yourself, your best self, in what you have in terms of physical money, but then what you have in terms of your physical body, in where you live, in the car you drive, in the environment around you. I love that we've got the Queen of Pentacles here as in a message to you for your best self, and the Two of Cups. Both of these cards talk about balance. We've got things whacked out over here, and the messages that are coming through to bring this best self, this confident self, this self that is the you, the version of you that you want to be and you want to become, to bring it into reality. We have to first start with balance. We get a hint of it over here in Justice, who who's holding the scales. We also get a hint of it here with Justice holding the sword, but we have no swords other than the Emperor is about that logic. Swords are logic. Swords are our thoughts. We have to get our emotions on board, and that is why things are kind of whacked out. And I can see why things are kind of whacked out when you have been trying so very hard and you have been putting energy towards something, and logically it should work out, but it's not. It's like those bunnies. Like, logically there should be this one reality, and it's a completely different shifted reality. But when we start bringing balance, and when we start bringing love in, not only, I love the Two of Cups in when we interact with another person, they are an amazing mirror for us. They show us, like, I guarantee you have somebody in your life who maybe wants the same exact things that you do, and you can look at their life and what they're doing, and you can create a judgment and go, well, I see. It's super easy, like, because you have that further perspective. You have that perspective from the outside, and you can say, oh, well, I see what they need to do. They just need to do this, 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 and this, and it's going to work out. And that is that mirror. So now see yourself through somebody else's eyes. See yourself through the eyes of somebody who loves you, who wants the best from you, who is your future self, who is this self from another reality, who wants to shift, who wants to bring the shift together for you in this reality, this timeline, who you are. So I mentioned something about the Queen of Pentacles being also talking about balance, because the Queen of Pentacles is this beautiful, feminine, creative energy. Look at what she has in her hand. She has the pentacles in her hand, and look at the shift in where the pentacles are as well. We've got the pentacle kind of out here that we're searching for it here in this page of pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles, she has that over her heart, because she's not just looking at it. She trusts it, she feels it, she has it, she knows it, and because she has this in her hand, and she trusts herself, this one as well has the pentacles all around, and has that maybe is grasping a little too tightly. That's okay. When we have this shift from not having to having, sometimes we do hold on tightly, and we need to create that safety net. We need to create that savings for the balance. But we released it a little bit with the Queen of Pentacles. She is the quintessential working mother. She creates the home. She creates the home, but she's like brings home that bacon and she fries it up in a pan. So let's see what other advice here into bringing your ideal self into reality. How else can we do this? I've got two other, I've got a card from this deck, and then I've got portals cards to pull as well. How do we create that portal? How do we create that universal love? Look at that. Universal love with the Two of Cups. If I were going to pick a card out of this deck, it probably, to match everything going on, probably universal love. So the frequency of universal love activates the connection we feel to each other. We feel, well, here, and to each other, to our planet, and to our whole experience itself. This universal love, though, it starts with yourself and radiates out, and that is kind of what's missing on this side of the reading. We have what we want. We know what we want. We know it's not right. We're having this feeling of imbalance. We know that we're not our perfect self, our self that we want. And by the way, even when you get this, when you get what you want, when you bring this in, you're going to want something else. That's okay. The joy is the journey. The joy is the changing. The joy is the shifts, the who you can become, the work in progress, and that is okay. But I'm showing you this version of yourself that wants to come through for you, this alternate reality that wants to come into this reality, it's going to come through a portal of love. It's going to come through that portal, your heart. That's why this other person in this Two of Cups is so important. They are there to support you. They are there to reflect back to you what you need to see about yourself in a positive and loving way. And let's look at the portal here. Wow, underwater realm. I'm saying wow because we get more water energy, more cups energy, more delving into yourself, into your intuition, into your love. Didn't mention intuition before, but now that we're getting the underwater realm, again, it starts with ourselves and then it can radiate out to this universal love. Because sometimes we might attach some guilt, and that might be part of the reason that you're running around over here. We might attach some guilt, and we often do. It's kind of crazy, to our best version of ourselves. We attach some guilt to this version of ourselves that has money, to this version of ourselves that has means, that has opportunity, that has that creates wealth. We attach that because we know what it's like to not have that, and we know what it's like when other people don't have that. But that's, it all kind of comes back to, you can't pour from an empty cup. When you're in this position, you're not in a position to help out other people. But when we see it through a lens of, I need to be the best version of myself, or I need to bring this version of myself because I am going to stand as an example to others that they can do this for themselves. There's a saying because I'm kind of getting this idea of you can't force other people to do this, to do the work, to go through it, to push themselves. It's that addict thing. You can't push other people. Like somebody who smokes, for example, they're not going to quit smoking until they're ready to quit smoking. But if you have, let's say, quit smoking, and you can be an example for them of how to do that. So in this instance where you are becoming a stronger, better person, like you are like showing people that you can lose a bunch of weight, you can gain a bunch of money, you can live the life of your dreams. There is no reason why, there's no saying that because you have something, it hurts somebody else, is living in lack, and that's actually what holds people back. It keeps them in their circumstance rather than moving and shifting forward. And there's no reason, like in the world today, there's no reason for anybody to go hungry. There are people who are dying who are hungry. That's just political reasons. So we need to move past that ourselves as an example of how to move past that, of how to push open this portals, of how to be your best self. I'm also seeing like it doesn't need to be difficult. It can be very soft and very loving and just allowing and flowing and letting it come in. Versus okay, you have to be up every single day at this certain time and do all of these things. I mean, you might be in the example of like losing weight and sculpting your body and getting it. You might be, it's more of an intuitive thing. You might just pop up at early in the morning and then feel like you need to go for a walk or feel like you need to go for a run because it feels good to yourself, not because you're forcing it. And I feel like that's the difference between having the Emperor here as a release and the Page of Pentacles as an obstacle, and then moving into this Queen of Pentacles, because the Page of Pentacles, I mean, for what you want, that shouldn't be an obstacle. It's just the way that we're thinking about it, and it's how we're shifting it and flowing with it. Okay, so that is how we bring in our best self from this chaotic energy that we're feeling now. We have to release the chaos and really, and just see it for what it is. The chaos here, the wanting, the needing, the it's just an emotional experience that you're having right now, so that you do bring balance and you do move through and shift through. The chaos is just here to serve as a vehicle for you to want to move and to want the balance. So that's what I have for you, Group 1. I hope that you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, Group 2. If you picked this beautiful moss agate, you are in the right place. I'm just going to put this out of the way, and let's start asking some questions about this timeline shift that we want to bring in, shall we? First of all, we're going to talk about your current self, an obstacle, and a release. So let's get an idea of our current self. Ooh, Wheel of Fortune. An obstacle that is keeping you. Wow, okay. We've got Temperance, and we've got Knight of Pentacles. Okay, I'm kind of getting a picture here. And then something to release. Wow, so all of these cards want to fly out. I'm just gonna put them out here so that as we're talking about them, we can see them, and then I'll put them away here in a second when we move forward to your best self and bringing that in. So Wheel of Fortune is one of those cards where we can be up or we can be down. It can be chaos behind the scenes. It can cause anxiety. It sometimes karma, and it's almost like our belief around karma as well. Sometimes we just intentionally do something. We're humans having a human experience. Of course, we are going to run into issues. We're going to do something where we're maybe it's our not proudest moment, but we can't keep torturing ourselves over that. We can't keep we're really going to talk about moving past that, okay, is where I'm going with this. Then in our obstacle, we've got Temperance reversed, and then we've got the Knight of Pentacles. Both of these cards are amazing when they're working for us, but we've got them in reverse, so we've got them kind of working against us. The Wheel of Fortune feels like it's got our world kind of flipped upside down. This is very similar energy to Group 1, where we've got some chaos, and it's where we need to figure out some order to chaos. Feels like you want to shift pretty quickly, but we don't know where that shift is going. That's okay. We can again harness this energy once we release this idea of karma. Once we kind of, instead of being reactive, become a little bit more proactive in our lives. And the reason that we might be wanting to be proactive is things are just feeling out of sorts. It doesn't feel like it's like one step forward, two step back kind of thing, but you're not in the dance, you're not doing that dance. It just is maybe a wait and see, a hurry up and wait, a very lurking kind of thing. I just feel like it's you're ready to push forward, you're ready to move forward. It's just we can't figure out how to do that. Don't worry, the next phase in our reading is going to figure out how to do that. So Temperance is things are feeling out of whack, things are feeling out of balance. Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles is a slow burning, slow moving energy, but it's either that you're not appreciating the progress that you're making, or it's just slightly, again, that one step forward, two steps back. And then the release here, I feel like when you're ready to release, it will come very, very quickly when we've got the Eight of Wands here, but we don't have a direction, so that's the problem. Moon, I love the Moon card. It's so connected to our intuition. It's so connected to, you know, and even the Wheel of Fortune and the moon here talk about you deciding your direction. It's just that it seems like there might be a lot of chaos going on, or a lot of clutter, a lot of chatter, that you're either, again, it's just very reactive rather than proactive, and it feels like you've been in the reactive rather than proactive thing for so long that you don't have that long-term vision, that you're not, you feel like something isn't right, but you're not sure how to make it right. So we're going to release that idea. We're going to release how we're not making it right. We're going to release how we are not in control, or how we're not co-creators. Let's talk about your best self. Can you give us the best self, the self that we are moving towards? Again, we get the High Priestess, but it is in reverse. So we'll talk about that in a second once we get a message. Let's get a message from your best self. Ooh, all right. The Lovers, and then a step. So we get the Hermit reversed, a step towards the best version of you. I just feel like you've been really trapped in this same kind of cycle for a long time, that you have a hard time trusting yourself. You have a hard time trusting your intuition and this best self. It's just when the High Priestess comes out here, because your best self is someone who, there's just like a quiet calm here, a quiet calmness, which is very different from this chaotic energy going on, from the gears turning in your head, from the gears going on, from the anxiety that circumstances is creating. So we need to create a calmness, a knowing, and in your intuition. We've got two cards now, the Moon and the High Priestess, that really relate to your intuition, really relate to your emotions. And I feel like some meditation, some maybe even some expression of emotions here when we've got the Lovers. So a message from your best self, and then the Hermit steps towards your best self. It's interesting that the Hermit comes out in reverse. It's same with the interesting that the High Priestess came out in reverse, because this is, you know, your current reality is thick. And I feel like you're not seeing the big picture. You're not seeing that guidance. You're not seeing the power that you possess in yourself. I mean, look at all of these major arcana cards. These wouldn't be here for you if you didn't matter. These wouldn't be here for you if you were just a cog in the wheel. You're not. You are a leader. You're a leader in your own life, and you're a leader for others. I'm getting a lot of starseed energy here. I'm getting a lot of starseed, light worker, especially with the Hermit. And I'm getting a lot of activation. I'm getting a lot of, you want things to happen faster than they are happening, because you have been stuck in this probably for years, stuck in this pattern, this holding pattern. And of course it's been holding you back. And don't worry, you are going to release it. We're getting a release. Okay. The Lovers, I love the Lovers card. A lot of times this is Adam and Eve depicted here. Okay, so a lot to unpack related to Gemini. Communication, communicative. The Lovers doesn't necessarily mean that, well, first of all, I think all love starts with self-love. And I do feel like you love and you may not have been putting yourself first. I know this is crazy because I know I talk about this all the time. Like, you've got to put yourself first and then you can help other people. But I'm just getting that image, and I get this a lot. So it's not just you. There's other people who are really on that airplane when those oxygen masks drop down. What do they tell you to do? And what would you do? Well, ordinarily, when those oxygen masks drop down and you're traveling with somebody else, your probably first reaction would be to help someone else first. But they tell you, you need to help you first. Why is that? Because if you don't, then you actually become a liability rather than an asset to your community, okay? And you have an awesome responsibility, group 2. You are an asset to your family. You are an asset to your community. You are an asset to the world at large. It doesn't mean that you're selfish, putting yourself first. Selfish has a very negative connotation because especially when you have been putting yourself out there and kind of tired and you need a break. But there's also an evolution here. There's a big evolution that is taking place in this shift. So even though you feel like you're on a break, maybe that, you know, times in your life things have happened much more quickly. When you've wanted it, you've manifested much more quickly, you've created much more quickly. I feel like that is all happening behind the scenes, and you just need to trust in yourself. You are going to be ready when it does shift into your best self, into your highest self. I also feel like, you know, I said there's a lot of light worker, starseed energy here. I also feel like there's psychic abilities. But it doesn't always have to be psychic. So psychic is really like a broad term that a lot of us like use to mean very many things. So psychic abilities meaning you can connect with your intuition and do something like I'm doing here and start reading cards. It can mean that you have an internal compass that you just know which choices are best based on that internal compass rather than logic. It can mean that you communicate with angels. It can mean that you communicate with ancestors. It can mean that you can meet somebody and you can feel like the emotions that they're going through, and you just have an idea of what you need to do and what you need to say and how you can guide them to a better situation and a better place. So that is part of this best self that is, if you choose to accept it, this portal that we're going to go through and bring in for you. So, like I said, it was very powerful. Now, the step towards it, we get the Hermit. I kind of have a feeling like a lot of people, like your voice needs to be heard. A lot of people are like, okay, I get this, I register it, I'm feeling it, but this is kind of crazy and I'm not going to tell others. You are meant to share your story. You're meant to share your guidance. You're meant to express it. The Lovers talks about that too. And the Hermit reverse is you dealing with your issues by yourself on this like pedestal, sure. But you're also a guiding light for others, and you're not supposed to forget that the other is very helpful, not only because you're helping others, but also in your kind of like this back and forth with others, in this expansion of your own self, in this expansion of your own reality, in you stepping up and becoming your best self. It's also, even though you have all of these amazing and great gifts, there are communities of people who have the same thing, who are going through the same thing. So you're not supposed to be on this journey alone. And you're also not, you're not an island. You're not out here all alone. When you reach difficulties, other people are there. So sharing this with your partner, this journey, how you feel, opening up, letting this kind of like opening of the veil into, and I love that with the Wheel of Fortune too, like pulling back the curtain to who you are and what makes you tick. And we don't fully understand it, and that's okay. You don't have to understand it to become this powerful force that you're becoming, to be this creator, to be to like ride the waves of fate, to ride the waves of destiny in the Wheel of Fortune, but like pick up the best parts of it. Integration. The frequency of integration supports our embrace of every aspect of ourselves, allowing what we perceive as positive and what we perceive as negative to harmonize in balance and symphony in our lives. I kind of feel like you're probably somebody who has done some shadow work, but shadow work would come up here. Shadow work doesn't necessarily mean that you've got like all these deep, dark secrets that you can't let anybody else know. A lot of times it's just within society that we have some sort of shame around something. A guilty pleasure type thing would be just like, instead of feeling guilty, why do we have to feel guilty about something? We don't. And I would be also trusting when we have the High Priestess here and the Moon here. It's trusting when we have that flash of guilt, when we have that flash of investigating it. Like, why do I feel guilty about this? I shouldn't. I'm just a person. If I like this, if I like painting my nails 3 times a week, do it. If I like Real Housewives of whatever city, you know, just because you might consider yourself, I keep coming back to that starseed, light worker, you're at a higher vibration, you vibrate at a higher level, just because you consider yourself that, like, sometimes getting lost in some gossip isn't necessarily the worst thing. And sometimes we get lost in that gossip, or I'm thinking of like more celebrity gossip rather than the people around us. Sometimes we do that just because that negative energy that is involved in that gossip, you know, we're there to release it. We're there to put a new perspective on it. When somebody comes to us and they're like, ooh, did you hear about so-and-so and what they're doing? And you're like, you know what? Or you know, they broke up. They're in a new relationship already, and they broke up, and can you believe that? And it's like, you know what? I don't know. You're there to give love to the situation. I don't know what happens in a relationship. I don't know what happens in a marriage. I am going to support both parties. I'm going to send love to both of them, because even if they're in the right, if they're in the wrong, either way they could receive love, they could use love, and I am going to expect that each person is going to move forward for their highest good. Maybe that's why you're drawn to something like that. I'm a big believer, you know, and I just really feel like you're really becoming this very powerful, this very best self of yours, and where you're kind of over here in this a little bit of chaos, questioning yourself, to where you're over here really just loving yourself, and now I wouldn't say a consequence of that, but as a result of that, you're shifting everybody into this new world, into this new reality. Look at the integration, look at the new world. So this, again, this, if you're a Lightworker starseed, you probably have heard moving from the 3D to the 5D, higher vibrations, operating at a higher level, bringing it, and you're doing it not only for yourself, you're doing it for the good of everyone else around you. And there's other people involved in it. We are creating this new world. So that's why I said, wow, when we see this new world. There's a lot of creation energy here. I just feel like currently, I don't want to say you're confused, but you're not quite sure what to do with it. You're not quite sure where to go with it. Like, you probably believed in this new world that you're creating. It's just not happening at the rate that you thought it would, or you would push for it and we see glimpses of it, but it gets pulled back. And the messages here from this version of you who has gone through, who has created it, who is doing it, who is pulling you into this new world and pulling you into this new energy, who's pulling you into becoming this leader, is that it is to keep going. You are making a difference. You are making shifts. It's happening behind the scenes here, but you're going to start seeing that reality come in. And when you see glimpses of it, that's where you lean into it. You lean into that beauty. You lean into that creation. You don't have to be on all the time. You can take breaks. You don't have to be at the forefront all the time. You can take breaks. You take shifts. I kind of see like a shifting situation, and that's happening behind the scenes here. Behind the veil with other starseeds, lightworkers. We're taking shifts, we're taking pulls. My brother it's funny that this is an Eiffel Tower because it happens in France, and one of the most notorious, famous sporting events that happens in France is the Tour de France. They end up in Paris, and my brother was a cyclist. And he actually rode in the Tour de France. He raced in the Tour de France. It's very successful. He was amazing. But he's one of those people that you never really heard of. His team would win, and they would do it based off of the work that he put in, the shifts that he put in. That's what I'm seeing here. So that's why I like seeing him pulling and taking those shifts. And what I mean by pulling is aerodynamics is really important when you're on a bicycle, and saving that energy is really important when you're on a bicycle. And if you've ever seen the Tour de France, or you've ever seen cyclists rolling down the road, there's a person in the front that's that point person. And when they're moving their fastest, what's really interesting is that point person like pulls, and then they break off and they get in line in the back. And they have like this train going where they move from the front and they drop back and they get behind. It's in the draft. So you are not always having to be that point person pulling. You can drop back into the pack and let somebody else pull. But when you're and ride in that draft, right now it just feels like you're not that slipstream, you're not feeling that slipstream, you're not falling into that slipstream, because you're not recognizing, or you feel like this feels like you're out here on your own. And the High Priestess and the Hermit, I feel like they came out in reverse because, not because you're avoiding your work or avoiding your intuition or avoiding this veil that you're coming out from, or you're avoiding your inner wisdom. It's because you're not alone. They're very singular energies. The Lovers is an energy of collaboration. It's an energy of elevation, and it's an energy of communication. And I feel like that is, you'll find it. there's ways around you, like now that you're aware, like your awareness is opening, just like this new world that we're seeing glimpses of, just as that we're seeing the glimpses of it, we start putting our energy towards that is how we're going to find that and open that portal. And it's not only a benefit for you, it's a benefit for everyone around us. So that's what I have for you, group 2. I hope that you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, group 3. So this is Sardonyx, and our group number 3. If you chose this, you're in the right place. Let's talk about this timeline shift, shall we? And the first thing that we're going to start with is our current self, an obstacle, and release. So let's get an idea so that we can see how things are shifting. This is funny because Wheel of Fortune came out for group 2 as well in the same position. So Wheel of Fortune for your current self, what's an obstacle for you? Oh, okay, Hierophant. So 2 major arcana cards. We'll get the significance of that in a moment. And then what do you need to release? Ace of Cups. So that's very interesting. I'll just pull these out and we'll talk about them. So Wheel of Fortune. So your current self, the Wheel of Fortune is a card of karma, and it's a card of kind of like ups and downs, the wheel of life as the, you know, as the world turns, as the wheel turns, that the wheel in the sky keeps on turning. We keep on having cycles. The time marches on, things move forward. But when we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, so it can talk about destiny, it can talk about karma, but when we have it here, when we have it in reverse, I feel like the energy is even a little bit more skewed here for you than it was for our group 2, in that we just feel like the world is happening to us rather than we are making any types of headway. We're being proactive, or we're being reactive to situations, and you know, it's hard not to see the world in that way. But when we're aware of cycles, we can start being proactive. And what I mean by that is, we know at this time every year, it may not always happen, but it's likely to happen. We have certain seasons for a reason. We know that at certain seasons we need to do certain things. We know that we've got future events that we need to plan for. We know we have future things that generally usually happen, and we have ideas based on our what we've done here before, that what we should continue to do. So for example, you know, our seasons are very based around agriculture. Most of us are taken out of agriculture, which is kind of a problem right now. We kind of need to lean more into getting back in touch with those seasons, the growing seasons, getting back in touch with our own abilities to grow our own food, getting back in touch with that nature, that farming kind of culture. And rather than we kind of feel like we are working against the earth rather than working with it. But we know that during this particular time, this particular point of year, we're harvesting. And if we didn't plant seeds, it's kind of a little late to harvest, right? Well, that's where we can kind of get out of that. Because we have ingenuity, because we are who we are, because we have kind of taken ourselves out. Like, most of the year, you can go to the grocery store and you can get apples, for instance, even though apples are picked at a specific time. So, and there's reasons and ways that we do that. Maybe you want to grow something and you're just having that itch right now, we're going to put grow lights in your house and you're going to do like hydroponics. There's ways that around it. There's ways that we as humans have found around those things. So, but we know that, you know, it's going to start getting colder. So there's things and steps that we need to do to help ourselves, help our future selves. When we have the Wheel of Fortune, it's almost like chaotic. And it's so funny. I live in Colorado. Everybody is always surprised about what the weather is doing in Colorado, even though I've lived here for like 40 some years, and it's like, this is how it is. But it's kind of like having lived through this and feeling like it's the first time that you've ever experienced it, and looking at things with fresh eyes, and then just feeling this very chaos around your situation. And maybe it's because on the news they're telling you, oh my gosh, I mean, they're not going to have anybody watching them if they don't create some sort of drama or chaos in your life or around it. So it's kind of that recognition that, hey, there's certain people who are telling me things that are going on in society, even though I'm a living, breathing person who's lived through this before, and I've seen this with my own eyes before, and everybody, they want you to kind of be in this trap of chaos, this mindset of you cannot plan for things, this mindset of everything is happening to you, this mindset of, oh my gosh, you know, this very reactive mindset. So the society that we're seeing likes to keep us trapped in that, whether it's because there's some sort of political power that can be gained from that, whether that's some sort of monetary power, that we get ratings, we get views, we get clicks. This is this very clickbaity society, and it's a very short memory society as well. So that's what we've got going on here. Release here. It's funny that we've got the Ace of Cups released, because I think it's more of like starting fresh, starting new. We love those things. We love that idea. We love that concept of starting fresh. We love the possibility, the endless possibility. But I just feel like with these other three cards and what we're talking about, you're being emotionally manipulated, and it's a very reactive situation that's happening. Part of it is to realize it. Part of it is to realize this. And that's what the reading's about, stepping out of that, creating your best self. All right, so your best self, let's get a card for that. Ooh, this is interesting. We get the Lovers reversed, and we get 7 of Pentacles. Let's see, a message from your best self. We get 5 of Pentacles, and then a step towards your best self. We get the 5 of Swords reversed. Very interesting. So yeah, it's stepping out of this matrix. It's letting go of that. I kind of feel like, okay, the best version of yourself is 7 of Pentacles is when you are watching something. You're watching it intently, and you probably have heard the example of a watched pot never boils. Well, that's what the 7 of Pentacles is. It's also putting in like that very, very hard work. I feel like you've put in the hard work. It's time to kind of relax. And we've got the Lovers reversed, and we've got 5 of Pentacles. Again, I mean, we want to bring in like a better reality, but it's kind of like, I kind of feel like the message from yourself, this better version of you, is that this is for you whenever you feel like getting off of the merry-go-round and getting out of your victim mentality. It's for you, I feel like that's bringing in your best self, how you see yourself. You don't need a self-help book. You don't need people defining you. You don't need something. And this is almost like the hardest message to receive, that you are already best self. All you have to do is cut through the clutter and see it. You are already everything that you would want to be, that you would want to create, that you need in the universe. All you have to do is stop fighting it and see it. I know. The biggest fight that you might have is the internal fight with yourself. You don't have to fight with others. You don't have to fight with, you already are who you need to be. And I think there's a struggle here with self-love. And I also feel like there's a struggle with long-term vision. I feel like when we have got the Wheel of Fortune reversed and we've got the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, where I spent all that time talking about, you know, you need to define it for yourself. You can't let everybody else tell you what's going on in your reality. And I feel like the reason that there's the Wheel of Fortune in reverse is because people are telling you what's happening in your reality, and you're looking around and there's a disconnect. You're like, that's not the way that it is. It's not what is happening. And also the long-term vision. So I also feel like, ooh, discernment, perfect. Discernment is perfect here. But I was going to say, I also feel like, you know, the long version, like you are already who you need to be. I feel like this is just a stepping point for you, though, that you need to get that in control of who you are at your own power. Get out of victim mentality, get out of the idea of lack. You're already who you know who you need to be, and start being it. And then we can start bringing in and manifesting new things. Discernment, I think, is perfect here. The frequency of discernment supports our ability to view the world and the people around us from a place of inner balance and detachment, yet with compassion and wisdom. Of course, we're going to you know, have compassion and wisdom around other people. We love them, but that doesn't mean that we can't just be like, okay, that is crazy. I don't have to bring that into my reality. I don't have to bring that into my world. I don't have to believe in that. I'm stepping off this merry-go-round. I am the creator of my own reality, and that doesn't exist here. I don't have to bring that in. I don't have to bring in that mentality of lack. I don't have to do that. I feel like the Lovers are in reverse here because it is the inner balance. It is the detachment. We're detaching from the world that other people are creating for us, and we're creating our own. It's very, very powerful. And then I'm just going to pull one more card here. This is a portal card. This can help you. This creates portals in our life. And the portal card that we have is Underworld. The Underworld is really interesting too, where I was talking about cycles, because we have very much where we have cycles with the Wheel of Fortune. We have very much where we have cycles with the Seven of Pentacles, right? We're putting work into something, but we have, why? Why are we? We need that long vision in what we're doing. And then I was going to say the Underworld really kind of has this spiral out here. I feel like there's a point here where you kind of need to cut some clutter, get down to the root of things. Maybe there's even some grounding within your current situation, your current reality, where you are. Get to the root of that. And then the spiral here is that long vision of okay, within this cycle, this is my best self, putting my best self forward. That it's interesting, the underworld here too, where we're dipping into, this might be Persephone here, if you can see that, she's kind of walking down into the underworld. And I really see Persephone in this and in your cards, because Persephone is the goddess of spring, but she's also the queen of the underworld. And it's interesting that we've got your Lovers reversed here, because Lovers is about duality. It's related to Gemini, and Persephone is all about duality. We've got growth, but we've also got death, and we have that part of the cycle within us. So discernment, bring in what we need to run that past our intuition. You need to bring in your intuition. You can't trust your intuition though when you're believing in all the clutter, when you're believing in all of the things that are being, that's how we are. That's how society gets tricked, and you can see that within history, where somebody who wants power will tell you that something. It happens in. Where's Kim Jong? Kim Jong? Is he North Korea? It happens there. He recreated math. And there's a wonderful activist. She escaped from there, and she's just, man, I binge watched a bunch of her stuff, but there is no science, there is no math. It is the world that he created, and he is basically a living god to North Korea, and they look at him as such, and they are basically brainwashed. She was talking about math and how he disproved math, because 1 + 1 is 2. But he disproved math because he took water droplets, and he had one water droplet and another water droplet, and instead of 2, they formed a bigger water droplet. So 1 + 1 is 1, and that is scary. If you've ever read 1984, I really feel like your movement is out of kind of like this almost dystopian reality that, and I can see why the 5 of Pentacles is here. I can see that the 5 of Pentacles is feeling like you're out in the cold. Everybody else is succeeding but you. That's because you have been isolated in some way in your thinking, and that's not for you. All it takes is for you to just say no, start putting boundaries in place, using your discernment. That's not for me. That's not in my reality. That's when you hear in the news that there's specific shortages. Is there? Is that really what you're seeing? No. We're saying no. We're saying no to create your better reality, to create the better you, to bring in, we're saying no to the negativity so that we can pull in the version of you, we can pull in the reality of you, we can pull in the you, and with it, that beautiful blossoming reality. But you need to have that long view first. We need to work on this discernment first. We need to release the programming. Okay, group 3, I think that's what I have for you. Bottom line, discernment, and everything follows through with that. Your long view, your recognition of who you are deep down, you creating your reality, you investing in what you want to invest in. But that comes after your recognition of yourself. That comes after your recognition of your power. And that comes after your recognition of like really what you want, and having that long view versus what everybody else is telling you that you want or what you should do. And I think that's where we're lost right now, is the reaction to what everybody else is telling you, what society is telling you, what the media is telling you, what the governments are telling you, the messages that you're getting that just do not belong to you, the things that you're seeing, the things that you're hearing, the clutter, the crap that is serving others, and you are serving the elites, if you will, and you are getting off of that gravy train. You're getting off of that because it's not working for you. It's not working for your reality. It's not working for the other lovely beings around you. And you at your best, and you who you are, is really what you need and what the world around you needs. So that's what I have for you, Group 3. I hope that you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next reading.